The Lakers just robbed the NBA as not only did they pull off an absolute heist with their draft pick, Rob Pelinka worked some magic and managed to do so by making a sneaky good trade. We're going to break down the trade, but also, and more importantly, discuss the absolute steal of the player that they got because not only, folks, was he an absolute steal, many scouts had him ranked in the late first round. And folks, there is a ton to go over today. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lakers just pulled off an absolute robbery, and they managed to get a prospect. Not only is he going to be 6'7" now, he's not necessarily the center that a lot of fans wanted, but boy, is he a steal. And you could argue he is the steal of the draft. You can see this here. Adu Thiero is an awesome choice for the Lakers. Apologies for mispronouncing his name. Logged 45 dunks and had 6 games with 10 plus free throws. Elite athlete who lives in the paint, needs to improve his jumper, but has everything else you'd want in an elite role player. And folks, this happened about an hour ago at the time of recording. He is an absolute beast. And as the minutes went by following the draft pick, more and more reports, more and more things have started to come out about how good this player truly is. And I am absolutely ecstatic. Here's a bit of a summary in case you were unfamiliar. So obviously, the Lakers traded up, which we'll dive into in a minute here. But in 2024, 2025 in college, he averaged 15 points a game. Thiero is a slasher with a jacked frame and an explosive first step, but he has severe limitations on offense as a shooter. If he's able to figure out the shot, then his length and versatility would make him a classic 3-and-D role player. His comparisons are Jay Crowder and Stanley Johnson, which, if you can get a Jay Crowder player in the second round, you'll probably take it. He is an elite defender. Now, some of his strengths: straight line driving, a bulldozer on his drive to the basket, passing. Even though he's not a playmaker, he can facilitate within the flow of the offense and make some occasionally great passing, and defense with great size. I mean, we know how good his defense is. Now, the big thing for Adu Thiero is how good on improvement can he make on shooting, because his shooting was really bad. Last year, he averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, 1.6 steals. He's a 6'7" forward. And folks, I am pretty amped up about this. You look at his stats with Kentucky and Arkansas, and he really had a breakout year. He went from someone who was riding the bench, didn't even play for Kentucky, then to basically a starter for Kentucky, and then all the way up to 15 points and 7 rebounds or 6 rebounds a game. And this all comes from his motor. It all comes from his engine, right? And he has a fantastic motor. He's one of the best defensive players in the class. And for a Lakers team that desperately needs some defense, this is a perfect fit for them. And, the more draft people you talk to and you see, it almost makes more sense with each hour that passes by. Not necessarily because, of course, his fit defensively, but his ceiling and high upside here is exactly the type of move that Rob Pelinka would, you'd assume would want to make here. So very exciting. Now, in order to get him, and we'll dive into him some more in a little bit, they had to make a trade. So they traded the number 45 pick in cash to the Minnesota Timberwolves for number 36 pick, where they selected Adu Thiero. They didn't even, not only is it a robbery regarding the pick, the trade itself was, they didn't have to move down 9 picks. They didn't have to trade up any other, assets. And we saw the Celtics trade away the number 32 pick to move down in the draft later to the Magic. And the Magic gave up, I think, like 2 future second round picks along with their pick this year. Like, the trades that have been going on tonight, especially, have been a little bit crazy. And for the Lakers to be able to do it with just cash considerations is not only incredible, but is finally, a piece of work by Rob Pelinka. And again, I mentioned it and I predicted it in a video a few hours ago that I think the Lakers will be able to, and they're highly active in trading down for a pick. Now, we were hoping it was going to be, the other big man that I discussed in the video earlier today, but unfortunately it was not. It was, of course, he got picked, I believe, 35th overall. It was an interesting pick in Adu Thiero. And ultimately, I am not only ecstatic with this move, I genuinely believe, folks, that this is going to end up being looked back at as the steal of the draft, similar to what Kevin O'Connor is saying. Like, he is a elite slasher, obviously can improve some things, including his shooting. Like, the shooting is going to be the big thing. And a lot of the themes for this year's draft and the prospects are, obviously, a lot of teams pick players who have a big weakness. And if it's shooting, it's a little bit scary because they're less NBA ready, because you need to be able to shoot in the NBA. But then if they can tap into it, is a 7-foot wingspan. If you can tap into some of that shooting, you'll be able to then turn him into the ceiling player that he has. He only made, you can see at the bottom, 28.4% of his threes in 3 college seasons, and there aren't many positive indicators for him. He shoots at a low volume at just a single attempt per game. He has stiff mechanics, and from the line, he's below average at 71%. So he needs to work on his free throws. He needs to work on his 3-point shooting, but if they can get the work and really put him in the lab. But even then, let's assume he plays some games for the Lakers next year, right? As the backup forward, whatever it ends up being. Backup, yes, plays small ball 5 or huge, small forward. Obviously not gonna play shooting guard. Luka and LeBron can bring out the most in this guy. You can see here, I mean, his free throw percentage last year was really bad, 68.6, and that's a big concern. But the year before, he had his 83 points free throw percentage. So the tools are there, and he also shot a lot better from three the year before, albeit in a very small sample size. The tools are there for him, and if you pair him with one of the best facilitators in the league and two of the best in LeBron and Luka, he's going to get a ton of lob opportunities. He's going to get a ton of cuts off of the basket. And think about Dalton Knecht. How many, obviously, he's like an elite shooter, right? Obviously, not similar players at all. But how many free buckets he gets from backdoor cuts? Vando, who can't shoot. How many, especially in his first year with the Lakers, but in general, like free buckets these guys are getting by just cutting backdoor, by being, using these skills of, Luka, who's a beast with, obviously, with the ball, but also, of course, off the ball. You have LeBron James now, who's a fantastic facilitator. There's so many ways that this can work, and I genuinely believe it's just a perfect fit for him. He's going to thrive under Luka, thrive under LeBron, figure out hopefully how to shoot, and even worst case, if he doesn't figure out how to shoot a super effective clip, he can be an elite defender. Now, of course, if he can't shoot, we're probably looking at another Vando situation where it's tough to find a ton of minutes for him. But at the same time, like, they clearly liked him. They traded up to get him. He is an elite athlete, one of the best athletes in the entire draft class. When you're looking at that now from the perspective of the Lakers, anytime you can make a trade and get a really big deal, without giving up future picks, you're in an extremely good spot, right? An extremely good spot going forward. And that's what they did. A finesse by Rob Pelinka in the trade and a fantastic move. And as you look at what this team needs, like, was a second round pick ever going to be able to, really, really get up there? You weren't going to think so. They had the 55th overall pick. You trade down to the 45th overall pick, and then you trade down again and get the 36th overall pick. Just overall, a fantastic day. And the Lakers get an A grade on Adu Thiero. The Lakers made multiple aggressive trades to move up within the second round, and Thiero was the perfect target. He's a slasher with the jack frame and an explosive first step who last season logged 45 dunks and had 6 games with 10 or more free throws, and obviously lives in the paint despite his limitations as a shooter. But if he's able to figure out the shot, then his length and defensive versatility can make him a key player on a contending Lakers team. That's the funny thing here. We talk about him not being NBA ready in the shot. His defense can immediately come in, and a team that lacks, not necessarily lacks forwards, but they kind of do to a degree. Like, he's going to replace maybe Vanderbilt a little bit and get some minutes instead of Vanderbilt. And if he can, figure out, like, you can, when you have the elite playmakers that you have in the Lakers, you can make the rest of it work. Like, the rest of it's going to be fine. The team is going to work. And I genuinely am excited to see this guy play. And we're talking about a team that went from the 55th pick to the 36th pick without giving up any other assets, folks. An absolute robbery, a generational heist. And quite frankly, I am absolutely ecstatic to see not only him play, because I think he's going to get rotation minutes next year, but just to see how he develops over the next few years with Luka Doncic, because that's the big thing here. You want to draft someone who can build alongside Luka. He's the perfect player for it. An absolute steal. Crazy athlete, crazy upside, maybe a bit of a lower floor because of his shooting. But folks, an absolute steal of a deal and a steal of a day for Rob Pelinka. That'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Things are picking up crazy. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.